Hi there, my name is Evelyne. I am a trained biologist and a scientific regulatory affairs manager since about 20 years. And today I'm explaining to you what a gap is when it comes to biopesticides that you want to place on the European market. First of all, a gap means good agricultural practice, and it's usually presented as a table with 14 columns. Not to be mistaken with a data gap analysis, which is about checking which studies you have and which you don't have. So let's have a look at this table, which is a classical gap table, as you will find it in every dossier that you prepare for a biopesticide that you want to place on the European market. So column number 1 is the use number. Actually, in a gap table, you will list all the uses, and I will explain what that is. You will list all the uses for which you apply for an authorization in a given member state or a group of member states, which is column number 2. Column number 3 is entitled crop and or situation. While crop is kind of obvious, situation might seem a bit odd because you would wonder what that is about. And actually, it means that not all pesticides are used on crops. You could also have, for instance, a herbicide which is used on railroads or to keep streets or gardens and amenities free from weeds. That is why that is why column number 3 is called crop and or situation. Column number 4 is entitled F, G or I. F stands for field, G stands for greenhouse, and I stands for indoor. It means that you have to specify whether your use is actually a field use, a greenhouse use, or an indoor use. And we will talk about these different uses in a different video. Column number 5 is entitled pests or group of pests controlled. Again, here it is actually as if it was for an insecticide only. But indeed, you can have a lot of different functions for a pesticide. It can be an insecticide, it can be a herbicide, it can be an acaricide. Whatever it is, that is what you need to put here. If it is an insecticide, you will typically list the pests that are controlled by your pesticide. If it's a herbicide, you would list the weeds that are controlled by your herbicide. Column number 6, 7, and 8 are grouped together under application, and here you will find a sub-column, which is the method or the kind. Here you would specify how your pesticide is applied. For instance, can be foliar application, but it also can be applied to the bare soil, for instance. Column number G is the timing or the growth stage of your plant. Of course, growth stage would not apply if we are talking about non-crop situations such as railways. But typically, if it's applied on a crop, you would find here either the timing of the year. For instance, if it's a greenhouse use, it can be all year round, so from January to December. If it's a crop that is grown in the field, it could be limited from March to September, for instance. And you would certainly put in here the growth stage of your plant, which are usually called BBCH stages. What that is exactly about will also be dealt with in a different video. Column number H is the number and the days that you need to leave between applications if you have more than one. So of course, if you have only one application, then you have only one number. If you have more than one application, you could be requested to put in the number of days between the applications that you have to respect. Columns 10, 11 and 12 are about the application rate per treatment. And here you would specify, for instance, the number of liters per hectare of your product that you have to apply. You would also calculate and provide that number in column 11, how much active substance expressed as kilogram per hectare you would apply, and the water volume if your product is to be dissolved in water. Column number 13 is entitled PHI, and that stands for pre-harvest interval. It is the number of days that you need to leave between the last application and the moment where you can harvest. Of course, if you have a product that does not leave residues, or at least no residues that could harm consumers in case it is a crop that will be consumed by consumers, this PHI can be 0 or 1, yeah. But if it's a product that leaves residues which stay for a longer time, this number can considerably increase. Last but not least, column 14 is called remarks. And here you would add any other information that the user needs to know in order to apply your product correctly. The gap, as I just explained it, is the most important document of your dossier, in the sense that it is the first document of your dossier. Based on that gap, everything is calculated. Human toxicology, E-fate, ecotox, and we will talk about that in more detail in future videos too. Not only is the gap the first document of your dossier because it's the basis for everything, it also needs to be supported by a sufficient number of efficacy trials, because not only you have to prove that your product is safe, but it certainly must be efficient. So whatever use you propose in your gap, you must ensure that you have enough efficacy trials to demonstrate that your use is efficient. How many efficacy trials you need to produce per use in your gap is usually detailed in guidance documents. These guidance documents vary from the northern, the central and the southern zone. Last but not least, your gap aims at one thing. You want to demonstrate at least one safe use. So first of all, based on the efficacy trials that you have, you will present your gap, and your efficacy trials, the number and the quality of your efficacy trials must be sufficient to prove that that your product actually works. And also with the application rate, the dosage, the growth stage of your crops, or depending on what exactly it is that your product does, whether it is on crops or on non-crop situations, you have also to demonstrate that your product is safe. But that will be demonstrated based on the gap in the rest of the dossier. And we will tackle that also in another video. This is it for now. I hope you found that interesting. If you have questions, put them down below. If you like that kind of videos, like, subscribe, refer to someone else if you think that's useful. And I will be very happy to see you again. Bye for now.